Welcome to the 30-minute acrylic portrait, where we paint an acrylic portrait in about a half an hour. Glad you're here. Today we're working on a painting of a man with kind of grizzled hair, and this is going to be a fun one to do. This is supplied by Ray Comfort from Living Waters Ministries. Now, I love all the detail in his face, the wrinkles, the expression, the contrast. It's a very chiaroscuro study on light and dark, and we're going to dive right into this here. So let's get started here. But before we do, I'm going to open up with a word of prayer. So Father, I ask that you would bless this painting session, help me to be able to teach the students just to do a portrait study that would be quick and just kind of loosen them up. I would be able to get back into this again. They would enjoy the process, and it would just open up their creative brain, so to speak, to be able to see other things that they could paint. And I ask a blessing on this in Jesus' name. Amen. And before we dive into it, I'd like to give you a free gift. A lot of artists struggle with skin tones. So if you're one of those artists that struggle with skin tones, I'd like to give you the Fix Muddy Skin Tones in Your Acrylic Portrait free PDF guide. You can download it in the description of the video below or in the top comment. And again, it's just a quick PDF guide. It'll show you several tips on how to make your skin tones better, how to improve them. And it's something you can set up right next to your easel, print it off easily with your computer, or download it to your tablet. But get that guide here below, and it is completely free. So now we're going to dive into the process here. I've got my palette, just standard colors: raw umber dark, burnt sienna, raw sienna, ultramarine blue, pyro orange, alizarin crimson, naphthol crimson, Indian yellow, titanium white, and a little bit of matte medium. And then I just have a standard set of brushes ranging from flats like 3/4 inch all the way down to some smaller size 2 rounds. And that's going to be what we're going to be using today. These are brushes you'll be able to just buy at your local art store, nothing fancy at all. And let's go ahead and we'll dive in. I'm going to set up my camera here, make sure we got everything where it should be. All right, and away we go. So what we're going to do also is set up the timer, because this is a 30-minute acrylic portrait, just to show you that I'm doing it live. It is not being edited. I'm not doing any fast camera work or time-lapsing or anything like that. This is literal, just how it is. 30 minutes here on my timer, and with that, then you'll know we're sticking to this. You'll be able to see it as we roll along here in the process. When the 30 minutes are over, I'm going to put my paintbrush down. Might have a couple more brush strokes, but I'll basically be finished at that 30-minute mark, and we'll see what we're able to do here. So the first step is to block in. We want to block in the form. So let's go ahead and take some raw umber dark and a little bit of matte medium. And I haven't done this for a while. I need to get back into it, so I might be a little rusty, but that's okay. We're just going to enjoy the process together. We want to block in the composition, and we're just going to basically keep it pretty simple and just do some kind of loose shapes here and get the overall angle of the guy's facial structure and kind of where we want the head to be. Yeah, maybe something about like that I think is good. I won't put the microphone in there. The original image actually was from Ray Comfort's videos. I mean, he interviews these people, shares Jesus with them, and so a lot of times you'll see a microphone in the image, but I'm going to make this a little more artistic than that, and we'll just take that out. Use our artistic license. Okay, so I have a little more of the shirt showing here than what he has, but I think that's okay. Just see, when you have the matte medium on it, it's so easy to wipe it away. So I really like that aspect. You can just wipe it off if you make a mistake. Okay. So now that we have that done, yeah, we'll just block in a little bit of the facial structure just to get a sense for where things are going to go. It's the eyes and the nose and the mouth and so forth. So we'll just say maybe somewhere about here. We want to make a decision. So that's where the eyes are at. Had to get a little bit of water there. Okay, so you have the eyes and then the nasolabial fold and the lips. Just want to kind of block that in, and we have the hair on the top. He's got some pretty strong eyebrows. We want to make sure we get that in there. And then, you know, some of these strong forms, just getting some angles in, you know, because we have, if you look to the left, we have these strong shadows in there, and that's really important to block in those forms. Okay, that's probably good. His ears are not much of a feature. He has very flat ears. They don't stick out very much at all. And we have his shirt there. Okay, and now let's block in some shadows. Now that we have this simple form here, so we take raw umber dark, more opaquely now. A little bit of titanium white to make it even more opaque, and then some ivory black. I guess I didn't mention that, but that is a color I use when I'm doing these kind of portraits that are faster. And this is just a quick exercise you can do. It's just doesn't have to be super realistic. It's just 30 minutes. So we just basically see what we can accomplish in that time. Add a little bit of alizarin crimson to this as well. All right, so we've got that raw umber dark, titanium white, ivory black, a little bit of alizarin crimson. And again, the titanium white just helps it to cover a little better because we have to keep things opaque in this kind of a time frame. We're doing this alla prima, all in one sitting. We're not using many layers like I usually do with my glazing technique, but this is again just a fun little exercise. So let's block this in, get in a strong shadow here, and it actually goes over part of the eye, so that's interesting. And it, you know, cuts along his nose here. So this whole section here is going to be in shadow. We can see how this is developing. We got the lip, got to cut it along the edge of the lip. All right, got the beard down there. We'll put in a little bit of this too for his shirt, and then there's a shadow inside here where we have part of his neck structure. We'll get that articulated. We're going to leave it pretty vacant though for the shirt. And let's just kind of smooth this out. And we'll add a little bit more to the top of the forehead area as well. Just get some of that in there, some of that detail. And we'll get a little bit more of the eye because the eye is dark. There's a little bit of the concentric eyelid fold here, part of that structure. Now want to get in this major shadow here for this eye. We're just going to use the chisel edge of the brush to get a little bit of the eyebrow in. Shape of his eyebrows are important, and they kind of come up toward the middle. Getting just a suggestion of his nostril. A little bit of this for the nasolabial fold. The lip is very light, so I think I'll leave off there. And then here we could go a little bit of that shadow right there on that part. And let's put a little bit of this in for his hair. Just block in suggestion of some of his hair on the top. That should be good. Now we're going to rinse off the brush, and next we'll want to get in some of the mid-tone for the flesh tone. Let's take some titanium white, raw sienna, pyro orange. It's a nice vibrant orange. I love that. Pyro orange, a little bit of Indian yellow. Just want to get a nice flesh tone. I'm just going to hold it up to the Kindle here and just kind of see if I'm getting something in the vicinity. I do need to add more titanium white. And I need to rinse off my brush a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. A little more titanium white. Raw sienna. And a little bit more pyro orange. Okay, that should be good. Just to get something to start with. We're just wanting a basic mid-tone. We'll add a little bit of burnt sienna here. And burnt sienna and titanium white, by the way, make a really, really nice opaque flesh tone to start with for most scenarios. So we'll have that on the left-hand side because it's going to be getting lighter on the right. So we'll just start a little bit darker there. Maybe just add a bit of naphthalene red just to redden it up. Okay, so we have something just a little darker on that side, and that's good. We need that. Okay, now we start filling this in all these areas. Again, a little bit darker on that left-hand side. We want to pay attention to the light source. Light source is on the right. That's why the shadows are on the left. We add some naphthalene red to this burnt sienna. We'll fill this in right there on that side so it can get just a little bit darker right there. We'll just use a little bit of this here on the edge. Okay. Kind of have a scale from dark to light here on the palette, as you can see. A little bit of darkness here. And we'll start filling this in here. All right. Nose is a little bit darker on the bottom. Just get that suggested with a bit of pyro orange here. Just warm up that color a bit on the bottom. Now let's go to this lighter color as we get in towards the interior. Okay, so we go a little bit lighter. Fill this in. Okay, a little bit lighter. Now we get just a bit darker and more yellowish, so I just added some raw sienna to the mix here. And we're going to put that down below. This side of his cheek has just a little bit of a more yellowish tint to it, and I want to capture that. Okay, now we go to the more pinkish side right here for the rest. Okay, let's put in some of the lip structure. We'll probably have to come in though and add a little bit of, yeah, we'll have to add a little bit of a different color to that. Okay, now we're going to just kind of get a bit of a darker color on the interior between the eyebrow and the eye area. A little bit of a darker color for the concentric eyelid fold. We'll add some naphthol crimson and Indian yellow. Just get some of this redder color right here by the nasolabial fold, and that's important. Now some naphthol crimson for this lip, so we have the lip coming in right there. We want to get that color in. Okay, kind of switch gears, and we'll use this round brush. I'm going to take some titanium white. Oops. And let's just add a little bit of alizarin crimson to that, because I had some yellow somehow get into it. I'm not sure how that happened. Add a little ultramarine blue, just gray that down. Normally we'd use titanium white mixed with raw umber dark. We're just trying to get a little bit of a gray here for his beard. As we put that in, he's got that gray underneath. Now on the other side, darker, so let's mix it into that shadow color that we had for the face. And we'll just use that. Maybe make it a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter there. Okay, and that can kind of cut up a little bit, add some ivory black to it, darken it a little more, kind of fade that into the rest. Okay, we'll go a little bit lighter, bring this beard down. It just looks like it can get a little bit longer right there. Okay, let's just kind of blend this into the flesh tones a bit. Let's get a little bit of a optical blend. So bring some of that gray color into the flesh tones and just kind of feather it in. Just kind of feather it in. Now we do need to get that mustache in, and that's kind of a brownish color. Take raw umber dark, a little bit of raw sienna for that. And we'll just start to work in the mustache. Maybe a little bit of skin tone to it as well, just so it's not too strange of a color. Okay, so now we're almost at the halfway point on our time here. Add some raw umber dark and naphthalene crimson together and get a little bit of articulation on his lips. Just want to define the interior a bit more. It'll kind of bring up a little smile. Well, he's not really smiling, but kind of squinting, I guess. Okay. So we've got a little bit of shading in here. Let's get some of this texture of the beard hair while it's still a little wet. All right. Blend that in, and let's spray the palette really quick. Well, I don't know what happened to my spray bottle. I guess we won't be spraying that right now. That's all right, we'll wait. Sometimes you don't have everything set up the way you want it. Let's add a little bit of some naphthalene crimson here to this top part of the skin tones. We're going to work this into some of the hair color, and then we'll get some more hair color into the top, this gray. So we'll just introduce that here. It does have some of that in. We're just using this round brush, give us a little bit of texture on the outside, and then we get some of this darker color on the interior. Get a little salt and pepper look. Okay, now I do want to get a little more of his expression, so let's work on that. The eyebrow, let's get some ivory black in here, raw umber dark, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson. We just want to get a nice dark color that we can use to really get that interior look for his eye. It's a bit darker. Got the other eye too, and that's a little darker. He's got these really triangular shapes on his eyes. That's important to capture that. And a little bit of the eyebrow kind of going up right here. And some accessory shading that we can put in right there. A little bit of the concentric eyelid fold. Get a little naphthalene crimson in here and just kind of blend that in. All right. Now we're going to use this darker color, put in the nostril, a little bit of shading in here as well. Let's add a little ultramarine blue to the color to cool it down, because we want some of these shadows to be a bit cooler in tone. So I had a little too much of a rich brown in there. Just wanted to tone it down a little bit. Okay, so we get some of the structure here, nasolabial fold, shadows in for the hair, the ear structure a little bit, just a couple of shapes for that. Try to keep it simple. So that's what's happening. And we're at about 13 minutes left, so see what we can get done in this time. Okay. I still need to get some of that flesh tone in on his neck. I forgot that, but we can go in there and do that, not a problem. Get the flesh tone in here, and there it is. Other side, more in shadow, so we're going to work on this darker part of the mix for that. There it is. Okay, and then we work in a little bit of a shadow here for that as well. Okay, shadow right there. There it is. Okay, a little bit of a shadow here. And we have just a bit of the highlight down there on the shirt. Now let's add the white for his shirt. So take some titanium white here. Yeah, let's just start with that. We'll fill this in. Try to get in some of the wrinkles, and we'll just use this gray, neutral gray background for that. I created this background, initial background color using raw umber dark and titanium white. So we're just gonna fill that in. Okay, so a couple of little wrinkles here. So we have a little bit of Indian yellow mixed into this titanium white. I didn't even try to do it. It just somehow on my palette got a little bit of that in there. Okay, we'll try to get this a little closer, get that wider part of the band of the shirt. And then we have a strong shadow being cast, and we want to capture that. So just put in some quick shapes here. Couple of shapes radiating out like that, and then we'll mix some blue. Take some titanium white and a little bit of ultramarine blue, maybe a little bit of phthalo blue if I can pull that out of the mix. Okay, got these strong shadows here, just a little bit of raw umber dark so it's not too overpowering of blue. That just kind of neutralizes it a little bit. Okay, and a little more ultramarine blue. Just fill that in like that and get some of that shadowed look. So why is it blue? Because it's reflecting the color of the sky. It's a blue, it's a white shirt, it's a t-shirt, right? But it's just reflecting the color of the sky. So we're trying to show what's happening there with that. Now let's take a smaller brush, a round brush, and we'll kind of just blend this in a little bit. Add a little raw sienna just to warm it up as it's getting into the white. Okay, that brush isn't working. Let's grab a different one. A little bit of a segue from the shadows into the highlights there. And so here now we have some ultramarine blue mixed with a little bit of naphthalene red and some more titanium white, and that's what we're going to use to get some of these shadow colors on the other side that have a little bit more of a reddish tint to them. All right, put a little shadow there. And then just a little bit of white to kind of segue out of it and blend out of it a bit. And just a bit of that stronger blue spot there. Okay, and we'll just get a little bit of this reddish color just at the juxtaposition of these colors, just to warm it up a bit. And then we'll go with a, let's see, ivory black and ultramarine blue, just to get a little bit of alizarin crimson to get some of these shadows on the interior. So go kind of cut in like this. There we go. And the color has to be a little less intense as we work on the interior. All right. Couple little wrinkles there. Okay, and now let's go ahead and see if we can get a little bit of a highlight on his face with titanium white. Let's see, and just a bit of Indian yellow. So we're going to go and do a highlight on his nose and get just a little bit of interior shading here. Okay, let's add a little more naphthalene crimson, pyro orange. Again, we want a nice highlight here. Titanium white. Yeah, just kind of fit this in, get a little bit on his cheek, a little on the nose. And we want to get a little bit of a reddish tint on his nose, so just put that in there. We'll highlight here on the other eye, and highlight on the lip, on the chin. And let's see, a little bit here on the area around his mustache. That's just receiving some light, so we want to make sure we get that in there. All right, we'll just get this a little bit warmer. So a little bit of pink color in the cheek, we want to pop that in. And then this is getting a little bit of light too, right around his eye. We've got some wrinkles in the forehead. I'd like to be able to get them implied. So we got a nice wrinkle there. We got a wrinkle right here. A little more of the eyebrow detail. And let's also just get a little more detail on the eye as well. Darken that eye in the interior a bit. All right, we'll just kind of get some red in here, a little bit of a darker red, so raw umber dark with some naphthalene crimson, just to get that tear duct area. Now we're working on the nostril, getting that a little darker, and just segueing a bit of a different color in here. Just trying to sculpt that nose a little bit more. And also we'll get a little bit of shading here on this interior area. A couple of wrinkles there. Okay. You really don't see much of his ear on this side at all. Now I'm just going to give a little bit of a highlight to his flesh tones on this right hand side. Okay, just kind of blend that all together. Let's see if we can get some forehead wrinkles implied in here. We're just down to a couple minutes left. Just a couple minutes left. I still want to get a highlight on his nose. So titanium white, Indian yellow. Let's get a highlight on his nose. And then that stronger highlight on his cheek. Be a little brighter in some of the other areas. A little bit of a highlight on the lip as well. And let's put in just a bit more pink on that lip. Pyro orange, naphthol red. Just kind of pop that in there. It does have a little more of a pinkish color than what we have currently. A little bit of pink on the chin as well. That's good. A little pink on the nose. It's always, well, not always a good thing, but can commonly be a good thing. And get a little shading across here. Little shading on the cheek as well. Okay, and we'll just get a little bit of shading here on the eye. See this concentric eyelid fold. Bring that out a bit more. I don't know, maybe I can get just a little more shading on that mouth. Naphthol red, raw umber dark. See if we can do it. All right, getting pretty close. Pretty close, I can tell. See if I can just get a little more shading on the nose here. Couple of wrinkles on the vertical forehead furrows. Let's see if we can get those in here really quick. And just a little bit of the pinkish color around the hair as it blends into the skin tones. That in. Maybe just a bit of titanium white on the top of the hair. Let's see if we can get that in, just to give it a little more shine. Getting close. I can tell the time's going to go off really soon. Okay. All right. Just allow me just a little bit here until it stops ticking. It's still making a ticking noise, but I will put my brush down as soon as that ticking stops. Okay, just a little bit of shading here, and then yeah, I just want to darken this shadow on his forehead a little bit. Okay, I'm going to stop because the ticking has stopped, so this is what we have. This is what we've got here for 30 minutes. Okay, well, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, there's some areas I would like to fix up if I had more time, but, you know, for 30 minutes, I think it's a pretty nice rendition. Pretty nice rendition. So you can see, compare it to the reference photo. Yes, it's not a perfect likeness. You know, yes, it looks a little bit impressionistic or even slightly abstract, But it's a great exercise for seeing what you can accomplish in a short amount of time. And I do like the contrast. I do like the expression I achieved, in this short amount of time. And if I had more time to work on it, I would probably, add some more contrast to certain areas and just refine things more. And that's the nice thing about this too, is you can always do that. You can take a 30-minute acrylic portrait that you create and you can continue to paint on top of it. You can use opaque, you can use some glazes on top, smooth things out. And it's a really nice way to just begin a portrait with a little more freedom of expression. Although I think a sketch is probably the best way for most artists to get that accuracy, just for fun, to build up your skills and doing freehand work. This is a great way to go. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed teaching you. So I look forward to doing more of these 30-minute acrylic portraits with you. Again, get your value, or not your value checker, your Fix Muddy Skin Tones guide in the link below in the video, and check out realisticacrylic.com, where I have more tips, tutorials, and things to share for you. I would love to help you become a better portrait painter. That's my goal. So thank you so much for watching. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video.